Several years ago, I was trying to explain to a friend about this incredible church I had found that encouraged deep reflection and honest questioning as part of my search for truth and meaning. Since Unitarian Universalism is not a rigidly doctrinal religion, I read to her our 7 principles, which we hold as moral guides. And you can find them on the back of your order of service. After I read our 5th and 6th principles, which are the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, she stopped me and exclaimed, "Is this a church or the United Nations?" It is hard to describe Unitarian Universalism because of its lack of a simple doctrine. But it's also made difficult because of a reluctance within our denomination to identify with religious or churchy terms. Many who have found Unitarian Universalism come from wounding or stifling religious backgrounds, and they shy away from things that remind them of their past. Others feel that religion, by definition, is antithetical to science and rational thinking. Religious terms are met with disdain or disfavor. But this church is my spiritual home, and we need to use spiritual terms to describe it. Unitarian Universalism is my faith. I think we need to claim faith, that term, and not shy away from it. I hope to show you that no matter where you are on the UU continuum, faith fits in describing our religious movement. In our chalice lighting, we quoted the blog Experimental Theology by Richard Beck as describing faith as an activity of hallowing, finding the sacred, the holy, things worthy of honor. He defined faith as any reflective or intentional system evaluation. In our call to worship, Buddhist author Sharon Salzberg invited us to disassociate faith from a dogmatic religious interpretation and to forge faith that uncovers our connections to others. She called for a new use of the word faith that does not require a connection to a deity or God, but does not deny one either. I mentioned these thoughts on viewing faith through a different lens to today's chalice lighter and my favorite high-energy physicist. And he responded sternly, "You can't go and arbitrarily redefine words just because you want." Okay. Let's start from scratch. What does the dictionary say about faith? Now, while dictionaries vary, if you look at the front of your order of service, you'll find the 3 most common definitions for faith as posted on dictionary.com. Faith, a noun. 1, confidence or trust in a person or thing. 2, belief that is not based on proof. And 3, belief in God or in the doctrines or teachings of religion. Well, right away we see that the definition of the term faith is broader than most people use. What's more, each of these definitions can describe aspects or layers of Unitarian Universalism. So let's take a closer look. According to the first definition, faith encompasses trust. Well, I think we can all find something we trust here. We UUs trust the power of our community, for surely we are greater together than we are apart. Every week we gather in church and trust our covenant to respect and support our spiritual seeking and meaning making. Working together in social justice activities and events, we stand side by side, trusting in each other while we strive to create a more just and fair world. Without trust, there is no community. It would be as if we were all in our own houses with the blinds drawn, apart and alone, limited. So Unitarian Universalism is based on trust. Moving to the second definition, faith is belief not based on proof. Well, many of us would immediately link this to mean a blind acceptance of religious doctrines or dogma, especially belief claims that counter what we know from science. And because of this assumed definition, many UUs reject the term faith. But let's reflect on the definition. And as reflecting, I was reminded that we all believe things that can't be based on proof. We believe our UU principles because they feel right. They resonate. We live short lives, yet we expend a great deal of energy in working towards a more just world. And we have no proof that our efforts will make any difference either in a heavenly kingdom to come or an earthly kingdom we create. UUs strive anyway because we believe we are called to service, to give of ourselves to the greater good. Unitarian Universalism doesn't block us from believing things we cannot prove, though it does reject things that are demonstratively false, and that's different. Finally, the third definition. Faith is a belief in God or in religious teachings. Now, Unitarian Universalists accept a broad spectrum of belief or non-belief in God. So if the definition stopped there, it would be problematic. But the definition continues on and includes religious teachings, so let's concentrate there. Unitarian Universalism may not have a doctrine, but we do have teachings that serve as common guideposts in our search for truth and meaning. Our 7 principles give us an intentional framework for community. It is a framework that all UUs share, strong enough to support us in our seeking, yet flexible and open enough to let us continue to question and evolve. We are a religion that values behavior and action over word and belief. We hold that the truest expression of what someone believes is their actions. And I think you'll recognize one of our common readings. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, thus we do covenant. Now, I believe it is this common covenanted fellowship that defines our religious movement. Coming to church, gathering in community is very important because if left to our own devices, humans can become egocentric and selfish. We need covenantal community to hold us accountable, to pull us out of our incessant self-reflection, to call us on our stuff and nudge us when we need a little life course correction. We need covenantal community to support us when we are weak and stumble, to inspire us when we are tired and need a boost, and importantly, to present other points of view to remind us that we, as individuals, do not know everything. Unitarian Universalism is built on teachings and a communal covenant which serve as guideposts and are part of our common faith. So I think you can see that it is appropriate to acknowledge and claim Unitarian Universalism as our faith. This word is correct and precise. It fits no matter what spiritual path within Unitarian Universalism you follow. So now, at this point, I have some homework for you. In the coming week, I invite you to reflect on your relationship with faith. Invite faith into your vocabulary. If you and faith are well acquainted and on friendly terms, I challenge you to dig deeper. Spend some good alone time with faith and reinvigorate your relationship. For those of you who are not at all on speaking terms with faith, I'm going to ask you to be brave, to take a new look at the term faith. Make eye contact. Maybe you're not ready to say hello. That's okay. At least give a nod and acknowledge its existence. Faith is there for all of us. Okay, church, why am I using my one shot to preach about semantics? Spending a discussion on how to describe Unitarian Universalism, what terms fit, what terms we can use. Well, to me, it's more than semantics. Language shapes what we can think and express. Limiting language limits what we can think and express. Language shapes the context. We need words like faith to put Unitarian Universalism in the spectrum of religious belief. We are not a social club. We are not a philanthropic organization. We are a spiritual community. We seek self-trancendence, the opening of ourselves and the merging with the greater whole, connection with some deep, abiding mystery. And this is important to me because I had one of those powerful moments of connection when I was in high school. I was attending a Christian retreat up in Minnesota between Christmas and New Year's. The retreat lodge was located on a frozen lake in beautiful snow country. During a time of reflection, I walked out onto the frozen lake in the dark and found myself under a black velvet sky. The night was silent, save for the sound of my breath and the crisp crunch of snow under my boots. I looked up at the star-filled sky and stood in awe. The stars were bright, clear, and innumerable. I beheld the vast wonder of the universe above me. And as I gazed in awe into the starry universe, I felt the pattern of creation, and I felt myself expand out into that greater pattern, and I realized that I was part of it, that we're all part of it, not accidents, not individuals, but as one creation, all connected. And in that moment, I deeply felt the presence of wonder so tangible that I name it God. It was a transformative moment. Now, I didn't know that this experience was self-transcendence. I didn't hear about that word until I watched a TED Talk by Dr. Jonathan Haidt. Dr. Haidt is a social psychologist who studies morality across cultures, and he and others think there is a biological basis for morality. In his talk entitled Religion, Evolution, and the Ecstasy of Self-Transcendence, he discussed the theory of group selection and the evolutionary benefit of losing ourselves into a greater whole. Within this thinning of self can come a feeling of oneness, unity, of ecstasy, something that I experienced under that deep winter night sky. And this ecstatic feeling of self-transcendence can be triggered in many ways, through meditation, through the wonder of nature, through dance, through communal music. Now, Dr. Haidt asserts that this capacity for self-transcendence is part of being human. Every one of us is wired for it. It is part of our creation. So let that sink in. If that's correct, humans evolved to have a spiritual impulse. We evolved to seek and see sacredness all around us, and to join with others into teams to circle around those sacred objects, people, and ideals. Now, here's the critical point. This capacity to assign sacredness is not limited to higher altruistic ideals. That is clearly evident in how humans circle around political groups or engage in hyper-nationalism. In fact, one place where the experience of self-transcendence is well documented is in times of war. There are many, many accounts from soldiers where they felt themselves disappear and they united with the other warriors into a greater whole. That's powerful stuff. It is clear that this impulse for self-transcendence will find an outlet, good or bad. If, as you use, we do not give ourselves the words to fully describe all of our spiritual experiences, we constrain what Unitarian Universalism can do for the world. We bypass healthy guideposts our faith can offer. Regardless of your position on God, the self-transcendent experience is real, and it is part of our UU faith tradition. I believe that the Unitarian Universalist faith can provide a positive religious framework for us to seek truth, work for justice, and create sacredness and opportunities for self-transcendence. And I believe that that's the good news of Unitarian Universalism, news that is worth spreading. We need to name and claim our faith. We need to shine the light of Unitarian Universalism out into the world, invite all to join us in seeking connection with each other and to that deep, abiding mystery which some of us name as God, and to work in fellowship in creating the kingdom here on earth. I plan to shine my light of UU faith. Will you join me?